Ryan wiped the sweat from his forehead as the sun beat down on the endless desert. Sand stretched in every direction, golden and unbroken, shimmering under the fierce light. He had been walking for days, following the maps and legends that spoke of hidden mineral deposits that could help his people build stronger homes and tools. But the desert was merciless, and each step felt heavier than the last. His water supply was almost gone. The small flask at his side rattled when he shook it, and it only reminded him of how little he had left. He had planned this journey carefully, but even the best plans could not always conquer the desert's harshness. With each step, he felt the dry heat clinging to his skin, and he realized that he was truly alone out here. Ryan paused and looked around. The dunes rolled like waves frozen in time. He squinted at the horizon, hoping to see some sign of life, some hint of relief. At first, there was nothing. Just sand and sky, blending into a color so bright it made his eyes ache. But then, far off in the distance, he saw something unusual, a green patch that seemed out of place, almost glowing under the harsh sun. Could it be an oasis? His heart quickened. He had heard stories of travelers who had been saved by desert springs, but he had also heard of dangers that lurked near them. Still, his body needed water, and his mind longed for rest. With renewed determination, he adjusted his backpack and began walking toward the distant green. The closer he got, the more he noticed that the oasis was different from any natural one he had seen. The water shimmered with a strange clarity, and around it were plants that looked almost too perfect, too vibrant for such a harsh desert. As he approached, he spotted a figure moving gracefully among the trees. Ryan slowed, careful not to startle them. The figure was a woman, her hair catching the sunlight like strands of gold. She moved with ease, as if the desert belonged to her alone. When she noticed him, she paused and regarded him with calm, intelligent eyes. "Who are you?" Ryan asked, his voice hoarse from thirst and exhaustion. "I am Myra," she said softly, but firmly. "This oasis is protected. Few are allowed here." Ryan swallowed. He had not expected a warning, only hope. I mean no harm," he said. "I am Ryan, a traveler. I need water. Please. I am almost out." Myra studied him for a moment, her gaze steady and unreadable. Then, with a small nod, she stepped aside. "Come. Drink. But do not touch the plants or the water too carelessly. This place is fragile." Ryan felt relief wash over him as he knelt by the water's edge. The liquid was cool and sweet, more refreshing than anything he had ever tasted. He drank slowly, careful not to let it run out of control, savoring every drop. Myra watched him, silent, as if ensuring he respected the gift. When he had finished, he looked up at her, grateful. "Thank you," he said. "I do not know what I would have done without this." Myra smiled faintly. "Many come to this desert thinking it is empty, thinking it has nothing. But it has life, and it tests those who enter. You have walked far, human." Ryan felt a mixture of admiration and curiosity. There was something about her, the way she moved, the calm in her voice, that made the desert feel less hostile. "Why do you protect it?" he asked. "It is my duty," she said simply. "And it is home." For a long moment, they both sat in quiet, the desert wind whispering around them. Ryan felt a strange connection to this oasis and to Myra, as if fate had guided him here not just for water, but for something more. Something he could not yet name. As the sun began to sink toward the horizon, painting the sky in orange and pink, Ryan knew he could not leave immediately. He needed rest, and perhaps, he thought with a small, nervous smile, he needed to learn more about this mysterious guardian of the desert oasis. The desert was harsh, but here, in this hidden corner of life, he felt a spark of hope. And for the first time in days, he felt the thought that maybe, just maybe, some journeys were meant to lead not only to discovery but to unexpected connections. The desert sun rose slowly the next morning, spilling golden light over the oasis. Ryan stirred awake, feeling the softness of sand under his arms and the gentle hum of desert wind through the palms. Myra was already awake, moving quietly among the plants and water. She noticed him watching and gave a small smile. "Good morning," she said softly. "The desert changes quickly. You must be careful if you plan to travel further." Ryan rubbed his eyes and stretched. "Good morning. I don't know if I can go further today. The journey is too harsh, and I feel weak." He paused. You saved me yesterday." "Why?" Myra tilted her head. "I help those who need it. The desert can be cruel to those who wander without respect. I have seen too many travelers lost because they did not listen or did not understand the land." Ryan nodded slowly. He had wandered deserts before, but never like this one. There was something alive here, almost like the desert itself was watching. "I've never seen an oasis so perfect," he said. "It feels like it belongs to someone." Myra's gaze softened. "It does belong to someone. To my people. And to those who can prove they respect it. You have shown courage, but courage alone is not enough. Respect and care matter more." Ryan thought about that. He had always considered himself careful, but the desert taught lessons that could not be learned from maps or books. He wanted to learn more, not just about survival, but about the way Myra seemed to belong here so naturally. "Can I help?" he asked. "I want to do something, even if it is small. Maybe I can carry water, or gather fruits or plants." Myra paused, surprised. Few humans offered to help without asking for something in return. "You may," she said after a moment. "But you must listen closely. The plants are delicate, and the water must be treated with care. Every action matters." Together, they moved through the oasis. Myra showed him which plants could be harvested and which were sacred. She demonstrated how to scoop water without disturbing the small fish that lived near the edges. Ryan followed carefully, his hands steady, trying to remember every instruction. As they worked, Myra told him stories of her people and the desert. "Our tribe has lived here for many generations," she said. "We protect this oasis because it is the only source of life for many creatures and travelers. We do not take more than we need, and we teach respect for all things." Ryan listened intently. He felt a strange admiration for Myra and her tribe. Humans often moved through lands without thinking about the consequences, but here was a people who understood the balance of life. He realized that maybe humans could learn something from them, just as they had to offer something in return. As the sun climbed higher, Ryan felt his body warming, but he also felt alive in a way he had not in days. He laughed softly at a small lizard scuttling across the sand, and Myra looked at him with faint amusement. "You laugh easily," she said. "Even in the desert. Most travelers grow quiet and fearful. You are different." Ryan smiled, feeling a connection he could not explain. "Maybe that is why I ended up here," he said. "Not just for water, but for understanding. Maybe the desert brought me to the right place at the right time." Myra studied him for a moment. "You are a human," she said, her voice gentle. "And humans are often reckless, thinking the world belongs to them. But you show something else. Curiosity, patience, respect. It is rare." Their hands brushed briefly as they moved water together, and Ryan felt a spark of warmth. He looked at Myra, her eyes reflecting sunlight and wisdom, and realized that this oasis, this desert, and this woman had already begun to change him. As evening approached, Myra led him to a small shaded area near the water. "Rest here tonight," she said. "Tomorrow, you may need strength for the next part of your journey." Ryan settled on the soft sand, feeling a sense of peace he had not felt in a long time. The desert was still vast and dangerous, but here, with Myra and the oasis, he felt hope. For the first time, he understood that survival was not just about water or shelter, it was about trust, friendship, and connection. The stars began to appear, twinkling in the deep blue sky, and the oasis glowed gently under their light. Myra sat nearby, quiet, her presence comforting. Ryan realized that this journey was no longer just about reaching a destination. It was about discovering a world and a person who had already begun to touch his heart. The next morning, Ryan woke to the soft sound of water rippling and the desert wind rustling through the palm leaves. Myra was already awake, arranging small bundles of plants near the edge of the oasis. He admired her ease and grace as she moved, her presence blending perfectly with the calm and life of the oasis. "Good morning," he said, stretching and blinking against the early sunlight. "Good morning," Myra replied with a small smile. "You slept well. The desert night can be cold, even near water. Your courage grows each day, Ryan." Ryan rubbed his eyes. "I feel stronger here. I don't know why, but I feel alive again. Maybe it's this oasis, or maybe it's being with you." He quickly looked away, embarrassed by his own words. Myra glanced at him but said nothing. Instead, she handed him a small basket of fruits. "Eat. You need energy. Today, I will show you more about the oasis and its secrets." He took the basket and followed her deeper into the grove of palm trees and flowering plants. The oasis was larger than he had realized. Small streams crisscrossed the area, feeding little gardens of plants that Myra's tribe had planted carefully over the years. Birds of unusual colors flitted among the branches, and small animals peeked out from behind rocks. "You see, the desert is not empty," Myra said softly. "Life is everywhere if you know how to look. Humans often see only sand and sun. But everything depends on balance. One wrong step can change life here forever." Ryan listened carefully, feeling a deep respect for her knowledge. "I never thought of the desert that way. I thought it was only a place to survive, nothing more." Myra smiled faintly. "Survival is only the beginning. To live fully, you must understand." They spent hours together, Ryan learning how to tend to the plants, how to watch the water carefully, and how to notice the smallest signs of life. Myra moved patiently beside him, correcting his mistakes gently and praising him when he did well. Slowly, the tension of the journey began to fade, replaced by a quiet rhythm of learning and cooperation. At midday, they rested under the shade of a large palm. Ryan drank from his water flask and watched Myra as she leaned back, her eyes closed, enjoying the cool breeze. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, a pull he could not explain. "Ryan," Myra said after a moment, opening her eyes and looking at him. "You are different from the humans I have known. Most are loud, careless, and quick to act without thought. But you listen." You observe. You try to understand. Ryan felt his face warm. I think we can learn from each other, he said quietly. I have traveled far, but I have never met anyone like you. You make the desert feel alive, not just a place of danger. Myra's lips curved in a small, thoughtful smile. Perhaps humans and my people are not so different. We all seek connection, understanding, and care. You may bring new ideas, new hope. But only if you continue to respect the balance. Ryan nodded, feeling the truth in her words. He realized that the desert was teaching him more than survival. It was teaching him patience, humility, and the quiet joy of working alongside someone who truly cared for the world around them. As the sun began to lower, casting long shadows across the sand, Myra led Ryan to a small clearing he had not noticed before. A tiny pond reflected the orange sky, and soft green plants framed its edges. This is one of the oldest parts of the oasis, Myra explained. It has been cared for by my people for generations. Here, the desert feels gentle, almost like it is breathing. Ryan knelt beside the pond and ran his fingers through the cool water. It is beautiful, he said softly. I have never seen anything like it. Myra sat beside him, their shoulders nearly touching. Sometimes, she said quietly, life in the desert seems harsh, but there are moments like this. Moments that remind us why we endure, why we protect, why we care. Ryan turned to look at her. Their eyes met, and he saw the wisdom and strength reflected in hers. A strange, quiet bond had grown between them, unspoken but undeniable. In the heart of the desert, amidst the harsh sun and endless sand, they had found a place of trust, respect, and perhaps something more. As the evening stars began to appear, Ryan felt a certainty he could not explain. He knew that the oasis had changed him, but more importantly, Myra had changed him. And in the quiet desert night, he understood that some connections, no matter how unexpected, were meant to endure. The sun rose bright and warm, painting the desert sky in shades of gold. Ryan woke early, feeling stronger than the day before. The oasis had become a place of comfort for him, a rare pocket of life and calm in the endless desert. But today, there was a subtle tension in the air. Myra seemed quieter than usual, her movements deliberate and watchful. Is everything all right? Ryan asked, noticing her careful glances toward the edges of the oasis. Myra paused and looked at him, her eyes serious. Perhaps we should speak, she said softly. The elders of my tribe have sensed your presence. They know someone from outside has come. They will not welcome it. Ryan's heart sank. He had hoped that his time here would be peaceful, that his presence would be seen as harmless. Will they harm me? He asked cautiously. Myra shook her head. They value the balance of the oasis above all. They may ask you to leave. I cannot say more. But I cannot promise it will be easy. Ryan swallowed hard. He did not want to leave. He had found something rare in this place, and in Myra. But he understood the importance of respecting her people. Then I will leave if I must, he said quietly. I would never bring trouble to your home. Myra looked at him, a mixture of relief and sadness in her eyes. You do not understand. You have already brought life and care here. The elders may see that too. But they also remember the past. Humans have brought danger before. I fear their judgment will be strict. Ryan nodded. He had faced many challenges in the desert, but this felt different. This was about trust, about crossing boundaries not of sand or stone, but of tradition and loyalty. he realized that surviving the desert was only part of the journey, the other part was earning a place in Myra's world. As the day wore on, they continued their work at the oasis, tending the plants and small pools of water. But the quiet tension hung between them. Myra moved gracefully, but her eyes often darted toward the distant dunes, alert for signs of her people. Ryan worked silently, thinking of how fragile this moment was, so easy to lose, so important to protect. By afternoon, Myra spoke again. "I must tell you something important. If the elders come, you must not resist. Show respect. Speak honestly. Only then might they see your heart." Ryan looked at her. "I don't want to leave you," he said quietly. "I feel connected here, to you and to this place. But I understand. I will follow your guidance." Myra's lips curved in a small, bittersweet smile. "I do not want you to leave either. But loyalty to your people is not the same as loyalty to tradition. You must be brave in ways you have not been before." The first sign came in the late afternoon. A group of her people approached the oasis, moving carefully but deliberately. Their eyes were sharp, their expression serious. Myra stepped forward, greeting them with calm authority. "Elders," she said respectfully. "This human is Ryan. He has come with respect, and he has cared for the oasis as best he could. Please consider his actions before passing judgment." One elder, a tall woman with hair like spun gold, stepped closer. "Myra, this is dangerous," she said firmly. "Humans cannot be trusted. They may bring harm, even if their intent is good. Why do you allow him here?" Myra met her gaze steadily. "He has shown respect, wisdom, and courage. The desert tests everyone. Let him speak for himself." Ryan stepped forward, his heart pounding. "I am Ryan," he said calmly. "I did not come to harm. I came to learn and to help, in whatever way I could. I respect your home, your people, and your traditions. I only ask for a chance to prove that I am not a threat." The elders whispered among themselves. Myra's people were cautious, wary of humans as they had been for generations. But they also saw the honesty in Ryan's eyes, the truth in his voice. Slowly, the tension began to ease, though not completely. Myra placed a hand lightly on Ryan's arm. "You see," she said quietly, "courage is not just about crossing deserts. It is about facing the judgments of those who do not yet understand you." Ryan nodded, feeling both nervous and determined. The desert had brought him here, but it was his own choices that would determine whether he could stay. And for the first time, he realized that some journeys were about more than survival. They were about trust, respect, and the courage to face hearts as well as the sands of the desert. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the oasis, Ryan felt the quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, he could find a place here, not only in the oasis, but in Myra's world and heart. The desert sun was high, beating down fiercely as Ryan and Myra worked side by side at the oasis. The water pools shimmered, and the plants glowed with life, but Myra's face carried a hint of worry. Dark clouds were gathering on the horizon, unusual for the season. "Ryan," she said, pointing to the distant dunes, "see those clouds? A storm is coming. The desert wind will rise, and the sand can be dangerous. We must prepare." Ryan looked and saw the clouds rolling in quickly, faster than he had expected. "How bad will it be?" he asked. Myra's expression was serious. "Strong winds, flying sand, and sudden rain. The oasis is fragile. If the storm hits without warning, many plants and small creatures could be harmed. We need to act fast. Ryan didn't hesitate. Together, they moved quickly, reinforcing the banks of the water pools with stones and sandbags Myra had stored for emergencies. He helped tie bundles of plants together to keep them from being torn away, and Myra showed him how to shelter the smaller animals in safe enclosures. As the wind began to rise, the desert seemed alive in a way Ryan had never seen before. The sand whipped around their legs, stinging his skin, and the clouds darkened the oasis in a gray shadow. But even in the chaos, Myra moved with calm precision, directing him with clear, confident instructions. "Cover the water pools," she shouted over the growing roar. "Tie the plants to the supports. Protect the small animals." Ryan followed her instructions carefully, feeling a mix of fear and determination. He had faced harsh deserts before, but this was different. The storm was alive, testing not only their strength but their ability to work together under pressure. Despite the danger, Ryan found himself inspired. Myra had taught him patience, observation, and care, and now all of those lessons mattered more than ever. He moved quickly, thinking of every detail, noticing how even the smallest misstep could let the storm destroy what they had protected for so long. As the wind rose higher, a few branches broke, and sand swept across the pools, but Ryan and Myra worked tirelessly. They laughed briefly at their exhaustion, a small moment of lightness amid the struggle, and then returned to the task with renewed focus. Hours passed. The storm was relentless, but slowly, they began to see their efforts pay off. The pools remained intact, the plants held together, and the small animals were safe. Myra glanced at Ryan, her eyes shining despite the wind and rain. "You have done well," she said, her voice firm but filled with admiration. "Most humans would have fled, but you stayed. You helped. You proved courage is not only about venturing into the desert, but about protecting life when it is most fragile." Ryan smiled, exhausted but proud. "I could not have done it without you. You taught me how to see the desert as more than a challenge. I feel stronger, braver, because of this." The storm began to ease as the sun lowered in the sky, painting the clouds in soft oranges and pinks. The oasis, though battered by wind and sand, had survived. Ryan and Myra sat together near the largest water pool, catching their breath and watching the small creatures emerge, unharmed and curious. Myra turned to him. "Your people may see humans as reckless, but you have shown them another side: dedication, courage, and care. I think they would be proud if they saw you now." Ryan looked at her, feeling a warmth in his chest. He realized that this moment, facing the storm together, had strengthened their bond. The desert had tested them, and in the challenge, they had found trust, admiration, and a quiet, growing connection. "I never imagined," Ryan said softly, "that the desert could teach me so much. And I never imagined meeting someone like you, Myra. You make the desert feel alive, not just dangerous." Myra smiled faintly. "Perhaps the desert has more lessons for you, Ryan. And perhaps there is more for us to discover together." As the final rays of the sun dipped behind the dunes, Ryan felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The storm had tested their strength, but it had also shown the value of courage, teamwork, and care. He realized that humans, even in a harsh world, could make a difference not just by surviving, but by protecting, helping, and choosing to act with compassion. The desert was vast and still dangerous, but at that moment, near the oasis with Myra by his side, Ryan felt a spark of hope. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he was no longer facing them alone. Together, they had not only survived the storm, they had proven that even in a harsh world, courage and care could flourish. The desert night was quiet, and the oasis glowed softly under the moonlight. After the storm, Ryan and Myra had spent the day repairing small damage, tending to the plants, and making sure the water pools were safe. Exhausted but satisfied, they now sat side by side near the largest pool, watching the reflections of stars ripple on the surface. Ryan broke the silence first. "The storm, it tested us more than I expected. I think I understand now why your people protect this oasis so carefully." Myra nodded. "It is not just water and plants. It is life itself. Every action matters, every choice affects something else. That is why humans are often seen as dangerous. Many do not think about the consequences of their actions." Ryan turned to her. "But maybe humans can learn. Maybe we can change, if we try. I feel different here, Myra. I want to be better, to do right." Myra's eyes softened. She looked at him with a mixture of admiration and concern. "You are already different. That is why I trust you here. But there are other challenges ahead. My tribe may still doubt your intentions. And I cannot hide that I am growing fond of you, Ryan. That complicates everything." Ryan felt his heart beat faster. He had not expected her words, but he understood them. "I feel the same," he said softly. "Being here with you, it has changed me. I have never felt this kind of connection with anyone before." Myra looked away for a moment, thoughtful. "Humans and my people have different ways. Feelings can be strong, but duty is stronger. I am torn between my duty to the oasis, my tribe, and my feelings for you." Ryan reached out, hesitating, then gently touched her hand. Myra did not pull away. The gesture was small, but it carried a message of trust, care, and understanding. "Maybe," he said quietly, "duty and feelings do not always have to be enemies. Maybe they can guide us to find the right balance." Myra's lips curved into a faint, hopeful smile. "Perhaps. But it will not be easy. My people are cautious for good reason. Humans have brought trouble before. They may never fully accept you." Ryan looked at the calm waters, thinking. "I do not need everyone to accept me. I just want to do right by you and this oasis. And if that earns even a little trust, it is enough." Myra squeezed his hand lightly. "Your words show honesty and courage. These are qualities not all humans show. I think my people will see it too, in time. But we must be patient. And careful." They spent the rest of the evening in quiet companionship, talking softly about the desert, the oasis, and small stories from their pasts. Ryan shared tales of his settlement and the people who depended on him, while Myra spoke of her childhood, learning the ways of the desert from elders and family. Each story strengthened the bond between them, a thread of understanding weaving their lives together. As night deepened, Myra leaned closer to Ryan. "You have shown me something," she said softly. "Humans can bring hope and courage. You reminded me that even in a harsh world, life can flourish when it is cared for." Ryan smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest that went beyond the desert heat. "And you have shown me that there is more to life than surviving. There is beauty, respect, and connection. You have taught me to see the desert with new eyes." For a long time, they sat silently, their hands brushing, their hearts quietly acknowledging the bond that had grown between them. The desert night was vast, but in that oasis, they had created a small world of trust, understanding, and perhaps even love. Eventually, Myra stood and looked at Ryan. Rest now. Tomorrow brings new work and new challenges. But know this: whatever comes, we face it together. You are no longer alone in the desert. Ryan nodded, feeling a sense of peace he had never known. I will face anything, as long as you are here. Myra smiled faintly. And I will face anything, as long as you act with the same courage and care you have shown today. The stars shimmered above, and the oasis reflected their gentle light. In the heart of the desert, amidst harsh winds and endless sand, two souls had found a quiet understanding. They had faced danger, learned from each other, and discovered that connection and care could bridge worlds. And for the first time, Ryan realized that the desert was no longer only a place of challenge. It was a place of growth, of trust, and of hope. A place where love could bloom, even in the most unlikely and harsh of landscapes. The desert sun rose slowly, casting long golden rays over the oasis. Ryan stirred awake, feeling the warmth of the sand and the gentle ripple of water near his feet. Today felt different. There was a quiet tension in the air, a sense that a decision, long delayed, would soon be made. Myra approached him, her steps steady but her eyes thoughtful. The elders will meet today, she said softly. They have listened to your actions, and they have seen your courage. But now they need to hear from you directly. Your words will matter as much as your deeds. Ryan nodded, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. He had faced storms, harsh winds, and blazing sun, but speaking before Myra's people felt like the greatest challenge yet. Still, he knew he could not falter. He had come this far, and he cared too deeply for the oasis and for Myra to turn away. The elders gathered at the center of the oasis, their presence commanding and respectful. Myra stood beside Ryan, giving him a reassuring glance. Speak honestly, she whispered. Show them who you are, not just as a human, but as a friend to this land and its people. Ryan took a deep breath and stepped forward. I am Ryan, he began, his voice steady. I came to this desert seeking knowledge and understanding. I did not come to harm, to take, or to disrupt. I came to learn, to help, and to respect this oasis and its people. He paused, looking at each elder in turn. I know humans have caused harm in the past, and I understand your caution. But I hope you can see that humans are also capable of care, courage, and respect. I have worked to protect your oasis, to learn from it, and to act with care. I ask not for permission alone, but for a chance to continue doing what is right. The elders whispered among themselves, their expressions serious but attentive. Myra's hand rested lightly on Ryan's arm, a silent support as he continued. I also want to say something to Myra, he said, turning to her. You have taught me more than any map or lesson could. You have shown me that life, even in a harsh desert, is worth protecting. You have reminded me that connection and care matter more than fear. I hope we can continue to share this trust, this bond, and this respect for the oasis together. A long silence followed. The desert seemed to hold its breath. Finally, the eldest woman who had first spoken to Myra stepped forward. Ryan, she said, her voice firm but not unkind. You have shown courage, respect, and care. The oasis has survived storms and hardship, and you have helped protect it. That is not something we take lightly. You have earned a place here, though it will take time for full trust to grow. Ryan's chest swelled with relief. He bowed slightly in gratitude. Thank you. I will continue to honor this place and its people. Myra stepped forward, her eyes shining. "And I," she said softly, "have made my choice. My duty is to the oasis, but my heart also knows what is right. Ryan has proven that humans can bring hope and courage. I choose to stand by him, and together, we will protect this place and learn from each other." The elders nodded slowly, acknowledging her decision. There was a mixture of caution and approval, but also a recognition that something new and positive had begun here, something that could strengthen both humans and Myra's people. Ryan and Myra walked together to the largest water pool, hand in hand, feeling a sense of calm and triumph. The desert around them was vast, golden, and harsh, but in this small oasis, they had created a world of trust, care, and hope. "You were right," Myra said quietly. "The desert does teach lessons, and sometimes, it brings people together in ways we never expect." Ryan smiled, squeezing her hand gently. "I will follow you anywhere," he said softly. "But I hope we stay here too. This oasis, this desert, it has become part of who I am." Myra leaned close, her forehead resting briefly against his. "And you are part of it, now. Part of its life, its hope, and part of me." As the sun set, casting brilliant orange and pink across the sky, the oasis reflected the colors in its calm water. The wind carried the soft rustle of palm leaves, the gentle calls of birds, and the quiet hum of life that Ryan and Myra had fought to protect. In the vast, endless desert, they had discovered more than survival. They had discovered trust, courage, and the quiet power of love. And for the first time, they felt that the desert was not just a place of danger, but a place of connection, hope, and new beginnings. Together, hand in hand, they watched the stars appear, knowing that the desert, with all its challenges, had given them something rare and precious, a future built on respect, care, and the courage to follow their hearts.